Hello, I'm Matt, and I've got Dr. Travis here today, and we're here with Your Life Adjusted, and going to be bringing you some insight into some things that chiropractic treats, and also some of the root causes of why people have some of the pain and issues in their body. So we're excited to get started.
Me too, thank you.
We just wanted to take a deeper dive this week into some of the issues that chiropractic tackles, and again, we're trying to build awareness and really showcase the value and how important chiropractic is just in the day-to-day life. So I had a few questions for Dr.
Sure.
Travis today, and so I just want to start out with just what are some of the main areas that you like to take on, types of cases and things that you like to see here?
Absolutely. You know, classically, chiropractors work with the spine and the nervous system. So the things we're looking for initially are going to be, pain cases. Most people throw their back out or, sleep wrong, get a crick in their neck. And those are probably two of the things that we take the most calls on. Low back pain probably being number one, and then neck pain with associated headaches usually being number two. So those are really big cases for us, and those are things that chiropractic is really, really good with. You start treating low back pain for a while, and then you start to become shocked whenever a low back pain case doesn't get better. It gets to the point, and so we kind of sometimes start to get, take those for granted a little bit, but that's the thing when somebody calls in and their back hurts and they can't move and they can't go to work, they can't pick up their children, they can't clean their house.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And so that's probably the biggest thing that we see in the office. And it's kind of the same thing. We're seeing more and more, I think, neck issues more than ever into the shoulders, into the arms, simply because our lifestyles have changed so much.
Absolutely.
It starts in school. We're down looking at a desk all the time. From school, we get in our cars and we're driving, leaning forward. We're reading books, we're reading our tablets, we're on our phones. And so we're seeing the neck is really starting to turn into, if it's not problem one, it's 1A. And so we see a lot of that. Mid-back pain, we see a fairly good amount of. The ribs shift around, cause pain. Headaches, migraine headaches. Migraines are debilitating for many people. And the numbers on migraines are pretty astounding, and not just in adults, but even in children. I think the last thing I read was something like 10% of kids have debilitating migraines.
Wow.
And, that's scary.
Scary. Yeah.
So, helping people with that stuff, some people are in pain and don't want to go the opioid route, which with what we've seen lately, that's a huge issue. And so, they come to us for answers. And so we try to treat the body without the use of drugs or surgery, not to remove pain, but also to restore function so people can get back to their normal activities. And that's really let the body do all the work. We just kind of help facilitate it. Other things we see a lot of are wrist issues, carpal tunnel type syndrome, ankle plantar fasciitis. Really any joint in the body can get malpositioned and cause nerve interference. Whether it's the knee, the hip, the spine, it really doesn't matter. So we're just looking for that malpositioning so that we can help put that in position and let the body do its thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've really, I know, been able to help a lot of people, and I love all the stories that I get to hear on a weekly basis.
Yeah, they're fun.
Of just the cases you've been able to treat. What are some? I mean, you kind of got into it a little bit, but I'm still kind of curious. With our changing lifestyles, what are some of the main causes? What creates some of these issues within people's bodies?
Absolutely. So whenever carpal tunnel became kind of a big thing, I mean, a few years ago, I don't know, 20 years ago, we always talked about repetitive stress injuries. And keyboarding is a repetitive stress. You do it every day, and it leads to this pinching. Well, repetitive stress is really probably the biggest thing out there. So sitting at a desk, for some people it's 8 hours a day, for some it's 12, for some it's 4. But you're sitting at a desk, and typically the ergonomics of the desk are not going to be ideal.
Yes.
And so when they're not ideal, you're in a weird position. You do that every day for a year, and then 2 and 5 and 10. It's the same thing. Excuse me. It's a repetitive stress. It leans you out of position, and then the body shifts to accommodate, and then eventually we start to see major issues from that. So posture, trauma, Trauma's huge. And we think of trauma as a car accident, which absolutely, we see a ton of really terrible cases like that. But trauma is also, falling. It's running into a wall. It's going out and playing golf, and any kind of jolt to the body. Kids learning to walk. Kids learning, babies. Those are little micro traumas whenever they're bouncing all over the place. So one big trauma or micro traumas, it's kind of like concussions. One concussion is bad, but it's not the end all be all. Multiple concussions over time, and we start obviously to see major issues.
Yeah.
Well, same thing. One little trauma here and there might not change your life, but we lead a lot more traumatic lifestyles than we think we do. Just because something doesn't hurt doesn't mean it's not a trauma or an insult. It's like I tell people all the time, there's stress in life, right? There's emotional stress, and that's what we usually think of with stress. But there's also physical stress all day long. Posture's a physical stress, traumas, all these different things. Moving is a physical stress. So traumas, posturing, and then just general movement, general activity, are you in the right position to go lift at the gym? Are you doing things the correct way? Well, if so, that goes a long way to keep you in a good spot. But, we go and see a lot of people who just have bad form in the gym, and nobody's told them any different. It's not their fault. It's just like, hey, let's, make sure we get somebody to teach you how to do things properly so that you're not caught, because you won't feel it at first. It feels fine. You're like, okay, yeah, I got this. But then that one wrong move, and boom. And so what I see happen is we get in these positions, we're working, doing all these things, we feel great, and then one day we go to grab a piece of trash out of the floor, and that's what people are like, I couldn't move. And so and it's not that moment of bending over to grab the trash. It's the build up, and then boom. The thing is, pain's the last thing to show up, so you never feel the build up.
Yeah.
You feel great until you don't. And so they're, teaching people lifestyle things is another thing, ergonomics, posturing, all the boring stuff. That's how we prevent a lot of this stuff. And so, but those are probably really the two biggest things, are trauma and then just posture. Yeah. By posture, I just mean on your everyday. How do you sleep? How do you sit at the couch? All those things. You sleep 8 hours a night, kind of like ideally, and so that's a huge thing. You spend a third of your life there. Eventually, your body's going to adapt to whatever you do to it. Yeah. Proper sleeping, proper sitting, all those things. And so those are kind of what we look for to change and get better as we're going. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and again, you kind of addressed it. There's just a lot of different reasons.
There are.
Why you need just get your body back in that alignment that it should be. I've got one last question to kind of close this out today, but again, I love hearing you always treat a lot of really unique cases. You've got different people coming in with different issues, and I'm sure that's across the board, and there may be even people listening today that I'm dealing with this, I'm feeling pain over here. Is this a good fit for chiropractic, or do I need surgery? And that's what
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of or hear about doctors. Hey, next step is surgery a lot of times. So what are some kind of unique cases or unique things that you've been able to treat through chiropractic and get the body in line?
It's a great question. So, anytime we look at anyone, whether they're coming in with pain or whatever it is, the first thing we're thinking is align the body, take the pressure off the nerves so that we can have 100% function. So if you're not functioning at 100%, then something's not right. So we're looking for that functionality part of it. Well, that can come in a lot of different forms. I always tell people, we don't necessarily treat any one thing. We treat the body, we treat the spine mostly to take pressure off the nerves. However, that covers 1,000 or 1,000,000 symptoms, right? We've had people come in with ringing in their ears and no other symptoms. We've had people come in with the ability not to speak properly after a fall.
Wow.
We've had people come in, allergies, sinus issues. Really, the list is quite long. Pretty much anything that you can think of. And, when we see them, we don't say, oh, yeah, we can we can get rid of your allergies with chiropractic. But what we see is if we find these big issues in their spine and we start to align things, the body does a lot of work, and naturally things start to get better. And I've seen crazy things get better. And so I don't ever tell anybody we're going to get rid of this or that, because that's not really what we're doing. We're putting your body in a position to get itself back to normal, to function properly, to 100%. And so, I can't tell you all the things that we've just seen. And sometimes it comes in as, hey, I've got this neck issue that really gives me a lot of pain. And then as we're going and getting the neck pain better, and then all of a sudden they're like, man, I'm sleeping better than I've ever slept before. I have this other issue that's gone now. And this is going to be the only thing that's helping me. So that's what's so fun about it, is we see so many different things, and we're just here to help the body, and as that happens, a lot of cool stuff results from it. And so I tell people there's really nothing that we can't take a look at. Now, obviously, broken bones and emergency situations are not what we do. And we work with surgeons, we work with rheumatologists, neurologists, really every other specialty. If we need to refer that person there, we will. We have a great team of different doctors we refer to. And we use the tools that we need to. It just depends. Everybody's different, but for the most part, we can do much of it in office. Just kind of where we go from there is really dependent. We can help most people up until they have an issue structurally that cannot be changed. And that's usually when people have waited too long to get to a chiropractor. Damage starts, and then if you wait too long, the damage gets to a certain point. That's when we really can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Your Life Adjusted. Again, hey, Dr. Travis, thanks so much. This has just been, I think, enlightening for everyone. Not only seeing what all that you do, but also some of the things that you can treat that sometimes we don't realize that chiropractic can help out. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And again, join us next time for Your Life Adjusted.